So thanks so much for joining whoever is here. What is truth? Black Lives Matter agenda exposed. Now, let me start by saying that what I'm going to talk about tonight is not to discredit anybody's hard work. What I'm going to talk about tonight is just black and white for you to be able to have information, for you to make decisions for yourself. I think it's important that one of the things that my dad taught me growing up was I want to always research something before I join it. So if I'm going to join a company and I'm going to work for them, I need to research that company and be aware of them. If I am going to join some organization, for example, I got approached by the Masons at one point in time. And I was like, well, I need to get more information, but they were very secretive and they don't give information. So I just decided not to join because I couldn't learn about what the Masons were about before I joined. And so I think we find that many people will just jump on a bandwagon or something without really finding out what that particular organization is about. And again, tonight we're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter. Again, not against the work that they've done or anything like that. I'm just going to share my findings with you and allow you to make decisions on whatever it is you make decisions on as you and do your own research as we come across it. Now, what led me to start looking into Black Lives Matter, you may ask? Well, we've had some civil unrest in our society as of late. And the big thing that came up that I saw was on mainstream television. In one of the protests, I think in, Ferguson, I don't know where it was. We had a guy named D. Ray McKesson who ended up going to jail. And I thought to myself, of all of the people who went to jail, this is the person that gets highlighted on mainstream TV. It made me say, well, who is this person? He ended up being one of the sub leaders of Black Lives Matter. And it made me decide to start really looking into what Black Lives Matter, the organization, is all about. Not the movement. I'm talking about the organization. What's up, Donto? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good.
Cool. You adjusting sets and stuff like that, trying to get the right lighting?
No, not. I couldn't get it to come up on my laptop, so I'm on my phone.
That's cool. So as I start looking into this, guys, some people were hitting me up and saying, hey, check this out. And so I want to share with you guys today what I found. Now, all of this stuff that I found, the interesting thing is in plain sight. It's not like it's hidden anywhere. It's just that, many of us, we just don't read. And so in case you don't know, Black Lives Matter, it's attributed to three people who founded the organization. One of them is Alicia Garza. Another one is Patrice Cullors, and another one is Opal Tometi. Two of the three that I was able to find, they are openly queer. And then Alicia, who is really the founding mother, because she's not a father of the organization, she's actually her spouse is transgender. So I said, well, that's interesting, because again, for me, I'm a Christian guy. Believe that's the principles that I abide by. And if that's the case, then I got to say to myself, well, does this organization align with my Christian values? Do I want to support or go out and be a part of an organization, even if they're pro-Black, that doesn't represent my Christian values? Now, for you, you got to ask yourself, what are your values? And today we're going to be sharing some things with you. You got to ask yourself, what's your values? Because what I'm going to be sharing is going to be their principles, their core principles, what they stand for. And you can draw your own conclusion. I'll draw mine. But it's really just to arm you with information. And so the other key leaders, and I'm not going to get into all of them, but D. Ray McKesson, Sean King was named. I'm pretty guys might know who Sean King is. He's a journalist. Marissa Johnson, Nikema Levy-Pounds, and Janetta Elsie. And what I've come to find, about 90% of the time, whenever I found someone that's on mainstream media, they typically have been bought out, or they've been given a position of power or fame in exchange for something else. And so I'm starting to see that a lot of these leaders are becoming famous. And I don't think that's the goal, right? Maybe you can't help it, but it just seems like they're popping out of nowhere and they're becoming the leaders of a movement for Black people. But we have other people that are leaders that don't get the same rise and power to be a force for the media or for mainstream. And quite honestly, guys, if I was running an organization, I wouldn't want to be seen. I'm remembering Harriet Tubman in the Underground Railroad. She did a whole lot without being seen. But now we have people that are doing a little bit, and it seems like they want to be seen. So I'm very, very skeptical at this point regarding, again, not about the good things they've done. I'm just talking about the organization as a whole, their founding principles and their core principles. I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. So I shared a little bit about the founders. Again, 3 women, 2 of them openly queer. One of them espouses transgender. You can look that stuff all on your own. The second one, Patrice Culler, she says this. She says that her in her bio, which is she has her own page, she has her own business, I guess. Her bio says that she is a self-described wife of Harriet Tubman. Self-described wife of Harriet Tubman. Now, when you look up the word self-described wife, what that means is it's a term called necrogamy. Necrogamy. I'm going to put that in the comments below so you guys can look it up yourself, this term. Necrogamy, when someone says that they are married to a dead person, it's called necrogamy. And in the Urban Dictionary, here's what the definition of necrogamy is: marrying dead people, good for getting scam citizenship, having the last word in one-sided love, or for making necrophilia a slightly more morally acceptable. Again, necrogamy, marrying dead people, good for getting scam citizenship, having the last word in one-sided love, or for making necrophilia a slightly more morally acceptable. Remember that, slightly more morally acceptable. Now, the movement, the agenda, the movement that's going on in the nation right now, I'm pretty sure many of you guys, chime in on this. What do you see the nation pushing as it relates to, politics, as it relates to Black people? One that we see, and you guys again can chime in, I need your help on this. One we see is gun control. The nation is pushing an agenda for gun control. They want guns out of the hands of the citizens and only in the police, and we know that's not a good thing. We know we got our rights to bear arms, but it seems like they're pushing gun control. What else does it seem like they're pushing? Again, you guys can help out. Seems like the agenda that they're pushing is the gay or the transgender agenda. If you think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you would never see some of the things that you see on TV now. You would never see some of the things that are so open. And of course, I think just last month we had the Gay Pride Festival, and Google, I think it's YouTube, had, Gay Pride as their, they changed their whole imaging to honor Gay Pride. So they're pushing the gay agenda. Another thing that we see them put, women empowerment. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, other than the fact that we see that at the same time, they're pushing the emasculation of the male, of the Black male. So think about this for a second. For example, they got a new Iron Man coming out soon, and they're going to put as the lead character a Black woman. I want you to think about the last time you've seen a Black man in power in a movie. And this is the agenda that they're putting out. Why would they skip over the Black man to go to a Black woman? Matter of fact, Mattel just now has new Black Barbies. Well, where's the Black Ken? Where's the Black Ken? So the agenda that's being pushed out is the emasculation of the Black male, pushing forward. Think about Will Smith's children. They're almost transgender at this point. They're pushing forth the transgender or the unisex, the gay agenda. That's the agenda that's going forth, and any other agendas that you can think about. I only bring that up because as I was reading through the principles or the guidelines of Black Lives Matter movement from their website in black and white, I found some things that are very disturbing to me. And it tells me that they have a lot of different agendas going a whole lot of places. And if you're going a whole lot of places, you get nowhere. You need to have one solid agenda, and we'll talk about what it seems to be some of their agendas tonight. So again, the United States, or the agenda that the establishment is pushing to the masses, I think we can kind of see that. And if you can't, just think about what you're seeing in the world and what's going on. Obviously, the agenda that's right now is Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter. We just had a two consecutive days where cops killed black people, and then they want to they want to put the position of retaliation at a black protest. And now we got 5 cops dead. So now any march or any protest or any expression of your First Amendment rights is going to attach you, if you're an African-American person, to Black Lives Matter, even if you don't represent Black Lives Matter. And every time there is a position of your First Amendment rights, now you're going to have white people infuriated because the picture is that a black man just killed 5 cops, whether you believe it or not. And I think it's a complete hoax. But that's what the majority, that's what the narrative calls for. It calls for, again, the same thing we've been saying over our whole life: blacks against whites. But in this case, it's authority against civilians. It's white cops against black people, particularly black men. Every now and then we have a black woman that might go down, but more often than not, it's a black man. And for all of the black men who are watching this or watch this at some point in time, I want you to understand they do not want you to rise. They do not want the black man to be head of the household. They do not want the black man to be head of any company. They do not want a black man to be. That is my belief. That's what I see, and I share that. So let's get into this Black Lives Matter thing, because that's kind of what we're here for. And I put a link in the description box below. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time with the recording part, and then we'll be able to talk about what you guys may see later. BlackLivesMatter.com, very easy to find. And all you got to do is just go to the About section. Start there. You start the About section. It's on the homepage. You ask yourself, okay, what are we about? What are we about? And I'll go here. So what are we about? So the first thing they say, it says, what does Black Lives Matter mean? So they go into this thing and say, when we say Black Lives Matter, we are broadening the conversation. Listen to that word, broadening. They're broadening the conversation. They're making the conversation very, very wide about state violence to all of the ways in which black people are intentionally left powerless at the hands of the state. We are talking about the ways in which black lives are deprived of our basic human rights and dignity. So number one, you have how black poverty and genocide is state violence. I don't know what that means, but hey, how black poverty and genocide is state violence. Again, I'm reading directly from their website. Number two, how 2.8 million people are locked in cages in this country is state violence. So they're coming against state violence. Number three, how black women bearing the burden of relentless assault on our children and our families is state violence. Again, they have a very specific agenda against state violence. Number four, how black, queer, and trans folks bear a unique burden for a heteropatriarchal society that disposes of us, like garbage, and simultaneously fetishizes us and profits off of us, and that is state violence. Here's the recurring theme: state violence. They're connecting everything to state violence. Black poverty is state violence. Black people getting incarcerated is state violence. Black women raising their kids on their own is state violence. Black queers and trans folks, I don't know what they're saying here, using them for profit, and I don't know, but it's state violence. Number five, how 500,000 black people in the United States are undocumented immigrants and relegated to the shadows. So now we're talking about immigration. Where does that fit in? I don't know. How black girls are used as negotiating chips during times of conflict and war. I don't know what that means. How can somebody help me with this one? How black girls are used as negotiating chips during times of conflict and war. So right now is a time of conflict. Are black girls being used as negotiating chips? I know we got some women that are here. Maybe you understand what this means. This is what's on their website. This is what they stand for. So somebody please help me understand how black women or black girls, are used as negotiating chips during times of conflict and war. I'll give you some time to think about that. Maybe you got to do some research. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But Yeah, this is real life, highly weird, guys. In case you don't know, you can't even make this stuff up. This is what's going on. This is what is out here. So, Donto, I don't know if you know what that means, or maybe you can find something on that. Women, you guys are here. Maybe you can connect to this statement. I don't know. I'm just reading what's on their website, and you can go check it out yourself as well. And then number 7 of their what does black again? I want to come back to this. They said that this is what Black Lives Matter means. Black Lives Matter means, according to them, is black poverty, which is a state violence. Black people that are locked up in cages, I guess in prison systems, it's a state violence. Black women needing to raise kids on their own without, I guess, on their own, bearing the burden is a state violence. Black, queer, and trans folk, I don't know all this statement, it's a state violence. 500,000 black undocumented immigrants has something to do with Black Lives Matter. How girls are used as negotiating chips during times of war, conflict, and war has something to do with Black Lives Matter, according to them. And then the last one, how black folks living with disabilities and different abilities bear the burden of state-sponsored Darwinian experiments that attempt to squeeze us into boxes of normality defined by white supremacy. And guess what, guys? That is a state violence. Now, are any of you able to make out any of this stuff as making any sense? But yet these are the campaigns that we're following just because they got a cool hashtag. Now, some of it I get, gun control or violence or whatever. I'm not saying all of it doesn't make sense, but what I'm saying is we really need to know, we really need to figure out, is this, are we going to take some or all? So if you think about a political campaign, right, and you look at a Donald Trump or a Hillary Clinton, you're probably looking at what they believe in, and you're saying, well, hey, does this belief line up with my belief? Does this belief line up with my belief? And this belief, all these things that they pass laws on. And you only get 2 choices, so you kind of make decisions based off the 2 people. But this is an organization that's representing black people, supposedly. And it seems like their agenda is so spread out. How in the world can they focus on any one thing? So this is very alarming to me. Paris said that some of the same people involved in Black Lives are making videos of themselves twerking and throwing in the milk. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thank you for that. So that is the, again, if the focus is on state violence, and they've mentioned 4 or 5 different things which are state violence, and now I want to go into the guiding principles because I think this will bring it home for a lot of people. But one thing that you didn't hear in any of these explanations of what Black Lives Matter was about, notice you didn't hear the word black man. You didn't hear the word black boy. It was all about women, or they could specify women, young girls, queers, transgender, immigrants. No mention of a black man. And it's it doesn't if you got 3 women that are running the organization and 2 of them are openly queer and one of them has a transgender spouse, I mean it wouldn't surprise me that there's no comment or no focus on the black man, which happens to be more often than not the person that's getting killed in these, firings by the cops, which leads us to women needing to raise those, the rest of the family by themselves. There's no mention of standing up for the black man. So I'll get to why I'm saying that in a little bit. Now, again, this is the Black Lives Matter website. I can't make this stuff up. Don't think that I'm coming up with stuff. I put the website in the comments below. You can feel free to read right along with me. It's very easy. And so one of the things that we don't do, guys, is we don't read, and therefore we find ourselves just going with with the masses. So the next, Dante, you want to add anything from what's been shared? Because I got to get to the next part of the website.
Well, I just wanted to say something. The last one that you read, was it like number 7?
Uh-huh.
The last one that you read, number 7?
Yeah. What was it?
Disabilities.
Yeah, about disabilities. Yeah.
I'm physically challenged, and I don't know what the heck that's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, man. I'm just putting it out there. So it seems like they want to fight. The agenda of what they're about is fighting for disabilities, but what they stated as a definition of what Black Lives Matter mean to them, it absolutely made no sense. So if we're sitting here reading this and we can't make sense out of it, what does that say for the organization itself? But yet many of us are connecting with them across the country, you know, not really knowing what their real true agenda is. And so I put in the comments below another link. It's called the guiding principles. What this means, guys, is this is their core values. And as I read through these, I want you to understand, listening for the word black man or anything that have to do with the head of the household, typically, which would be a man. If you think about the head of a corporate structure, not a corporate structure, of a royal structure, you got a king and you got a queen. That's where we come from, Africa, kings and queens. The agenda, again, from the establishment on the whole entire nation has been gun control, pushing the gay agenda or transgender agenda. They're pushing conflict between black lives and blue lives, or black cops against blacks. The other agendas, they're pushing the emasculation of the feminization of the black man. So now you'll see a lot more men in movies wearing dresses. You'll see a lot of them doing dances that are kind of feminine. You'll see them wearing wigs. Again, you can look at Will Smith's children, and they, Jaden is wearing a dress and promoting that. So this is the agenda. Has nothing to do with raising the black man, but yet the response to Black Lives Matter was a response to Trayvon Martin, who was killed by George Zimmerman. So there's no emphasis on the black boy or the black man. And this is just very odd to me. And you got to ask yourself, I'm not going to tell you whether you should follow them or not. I'm just trying to give you black and white what they say, not what I say. So on the guiding principles, let's start with diversity. They say one of their principles is diversity. In diversity, they say we are committed to acknowledging, respecting, and celebrating differences and commonalities. Very generic. Okay. I don't know whether that means you're accepting all people into your organization. I don't really know what that means. So I'm gonna skip that. If you guys understand what they're saying with this principle, a guiding principle means their core values, and they haven't defined it clearly. Other than we're committed to acknowledging, respecting, and celebrating differences and commonalities. With who? I don't know. Next, globalism. They say we see ourselves as part of the global black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as black folk who exist in different parts of the world. So now Black Lives Matter takes on the idea that it's worldwide. That's cool. We want to fight for black people all over the world. I guess that's what they're saying, or black folk at this point in time, all over the world. Again, you never hear anything about man or son in any of these. But they'll clearly talk about the mother, they'll clearly talk about the girl, or they'll clearly talk about queers, they'll clearly talk about transgenders, but you'll never hear them clearly talk about males in the family. You'll hear family, which will make you automatically think the whole family. We don't want to get into George Soros tonight. That could be a little bit too much. All right, guys, the next one is black women. Y'all go ahead and clap. Yes. We are committed to building a black woman. We're committed to building black women and affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. Now, black women, you got to ask yourself, do you agree with this statement? This is the black woman principle that Black Lives Matter stands for. We are committed to building a black woman affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. Now, isn't this interesting? You don't want your black women focusing on males. I find this pretty alarming. Again, you got to ask yourself. Now, black women, chime in. You guys are here. You help me, because I'm a black man, so I can't get on the other side and interpret this properly. So you guys are here to help your brother out. I'm just giving what is written. We are committed to building a Black woman affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. Now, Donto, if you can do me a favor, maybe you are, or anybody that's here, maybe you can look up the word sexism and give me the definition, and also look up misogyny and give me the definition. That might help us out here in case some people don't know, what those words mean, because I don't really know what misogyny means. So, but women, you guys are pretty quiet. Are you guys just as like aloof as I am, just as confused as I am? And Rude 2521, thanks so much for responding. It is quite a confusing list, isn't it? So if their lists are confusing, then how can their organization or their movement not be confusing? Think about that. All right. Next, we have Black villages. Black villages. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that are collectively care for one another, and especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. It seems like they are intentionally leaving out fathers in their description. Isn't this interesting? Okay, misogyny, dislike of contempt for or ingrained prejudice against women. Okay, thanks for that. All right, so we go back and read that again. Black women, you guys are pretty quiet here. We're committed to building a Black woman affirming space free from sexism, free from prejudice against women, and free from male-centeredness. I'm still stuck on this male-centeredness stuff. I mean, is this, I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm asking you guys to help these Black women. You guys are here. This is about y'all. Y'all got to help a brother out. All right. The next one, loving engagement. Says we are committed to embodying and practicing justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. Okay. I can get down with that. We want to love one another. Okay. I can get down with that. Not much to say there. Restorative justice. The next. We are committed to collectively, lovingly, and courageously working vigorously for freedom and justice for Black people, and by extension, all people. Now, this is very interesting because we say all lives matter, or they say all lives matter, and we say we're not saying that Black lives or all lives don't matter, but in their principles, they're saying that they want justice for Black people and an extension to all people. So they are even saying all lives matter in their own principles. But our hashtag is Black Lives Matter. As we forge our path, we intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle. Okay, that is restorative, not depleting. I don't know how your struggle gonna be beautiful, but I guess at the end of the day, it's a lot. It smells a lot sweeter once it gets done. But anyway, that's your restorative justice part. Now, again, where I'm at, guys, I'm on their guiding principles. I'm just reading straight from their website. This is nothing generated by me. This is all generated by their website for you to be knowledgeable about who it is that you follow. For those that are just joining again, the founders of Black Lives Matter movement are 3 women. 2 are openly queer. 1 is married to a transgender. One has called herself the wife of Harriet Tubman. That word necrogamy. Necrogamy, again, the definition of necrogamy is marrying dead people, good for getting scam citizenship, having the last word in one-sided love, or for making necrophilia slightly more morally acceptable. Now, when you think about slightly more morally acceptable, all of those agendas from the United States, from our establishment, they're pushing out through media. They're trying to make all of those agendas more morally acceptable. And I would say that they have worked. We are now more morally, the gay agenda is now more morally acceptable. And how interesting it is that we have queers that are running this organization. Nothing against gay folks. I'm just saying it's now more morally acceptable. It's now more morally acceptable to be a transgender. Think of Bruce Jenner. It's now more morally acceptable. So the purpose of this is for you to think about what your values are. For me, I'm a Christian, so I'm aligning myself up with those that have Christian values. I don't know what your values are. Are your values to have queers more morally acceptable? That's you. What are your morals? I don't know. But we have leaders of this organization who just by definition are trying to make things more morally acceptable. Does that sit well with you? Is that an organization, or is that someone you want to follow? Got to ask yourself that. So getting back to the guiding principles, again, this is on their website. They tell you exactly what they stand for. And I would venture to say that most people never research what it is that they may connect with. They only join because it was a cool hashtag that said Black Lives Matter. Well, today I'm exposing what they say they stand for, and hopefully you'll be more informative. All right. Collective value, that's their next principle. Again, their guiding principles. This means that this is their core values. This is what they believe in. So once we understand what they believe in, then that tells us exactly what their agenda is whenever they go out into the public. And who all these different chapters that are under them, they fall in line with these guiding principles. This is what they stand for. So Crystal, you asked, how do we become a federally recognized as a sovereign, self-governing Black American nation similar to the American Indians and their nations? I believe we Blacks do not. Okay, all right, that's a good answer. That's cool. We're gonna, as soon as I get through with this, we can open it up to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Let me get through these last ones because I want to make sure that I get this on video. I mean, recorded. The next one is collective value. We are guided by the fact all Black lives, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. What's the fact? We are guided by the fact all Black lives. They didn't finish the sentence. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. They didn't finish the sentence. I don't know what they mean. This is, what is it called in grammar when you don't finish? This is a run-on. It's a fragment. It's not a finished, it's not a complete sentence. Now, I got to ask you guys this because this is what happens when it comes to Black people. Stuff like this make us look stupid. You can't even finish a sentence in your own guiding principles. Come on, man. Let me read it again. Maybe you heard a sentence here. We are guided by the fact all Black lives, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbelief, immigration status, or location. What's the fact? Come on, man. And that just tells me what's the fact? What is it? What is the sentence? Come on, man. This is who we following. People that can't even complete sentences. Make us look bad, man. It's Black people. All right, empathy. We are committed to practicing empathy. Now, of course, I'm not trying to get on them. All I'm saying, guys, maybe you need to email them and let them know they didn't finish their sentence. Maybe nobody else gonna capture this and they can fix it. If that's, if you all about that Black Lives Matter, if you all about them, I'm not coming against the movement. I'm not coming against anything good they've done in this time frame. What I'm coming against is their guiding principles and what they stand for. And if I understand what they stand for, then I understand their ultimate agenda. And if I don't agree morally with their ultimate agenda, then it's not something that I can stand for and I can go along with. It's just like if you were saying, hey, you know what? I can't get down with alcohol, but then you have Budweiser as your sponsor. You can say, hey, I don't like to smoke. I don't believe in cigarettes, but you go work for Philip Morris. It doesn't align. You got to think, I don't know what your morals are. I'm just saying for me, I got to align myself with people that are all about the morals that I believe in, whatever that is for you. And if you down with that, you down with that. I don't know what you're asking. I'm almost done. We got like 4 more to go and then we'll open it up. We're committed to practicing empathy. Yeah, that's a good question. Comrades, we engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context with their context. All right, so Mr. Rue, or I don't know, what's your name? You here? Rue Rose, can you look up comrades for us? Maybe if we look up the word, we'll understand what they saying because they clearly didn't let us know what they mean. Do they mean communists? We engage comrades. Who are our comrades? You know, who are our allies? I guess they saying, well, we know who the enemy may be, but who's the who's the allies? Brown people, Indian people? I don't know. Again, it's not making any sense. Are you confused? Yeah, I am. All right, we're committed to practicing empathy. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect. All right, whatever. Here we go. We're starting to get to some good stuff, the stuff that I think you guys want to know. The next one, queer affirming. Queer affirming. We are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless he or she or they disclose otherwise. Queer affirming. We are committed. Now, I didn't hear anything about being committed to making sure that no more Black people get killed by police. I didn't hear anything about being committed to building an economic infrastructure for Black people. I didn't hear anything about being committed to anything that I thought that Black Lives Matter was about. But I clearly I clearly hear now that they are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. Interesting. All right, so comrade, here we go. Thanks, Rue Rose. One's activities or is a fellow member of an organization. Then the other one is a fellow socialist or communist. Now that would be interesting because the socialist agenda is being put forth. That would be interesting. And they didn't put that word there for no reason. Somebody wrote that and put that there. And again, what I want to tell you guys is this. The truth is hidden in plain sight. Let me repeat that again, because this segment is what is truth. The truth is hidden in plain sight. The problem is that most people won't look in plain sight. So this right here, this word comrade, strategically placed in this sentence for collective or for empathy, can either mean a fellow member of an organization. So we engage our fellow members of this organization with the intent to learn about and connect with their context, or we engage with fellow socialists or communists with the intent to learn about connect in their I'm not going to insinuate either one. We're just going off the definition of the word, their use of the word, and what it could mean, because they didn't clearly define what they meant with this empathy principle. They did clearly define what they meant with the queer affirming principle. And again, that is, we are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. Lord, let me calm down a little bit. All right, I'm gonna move on from that because I can stay on that forever. Now, here's cool. It says the next principle is unapologetically Black. We are unapologetically Black in our positioning. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. Well, you can't say that because you qualified your position in another principle. But anyway, to love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a necessary prerequisite for wanting the same for others. Okay. Now, when I don't know about for you guys, let me ask you guys this. When you say that you're unapologetically Black, is this what you're saying? Because again, I know when I say unapologetically Black, that means I'm not hiding my Blackness from nobody. You're going to know that I'm about Black people. I don't know if this is necessarily saying that. It says that in affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. But yes, you do. You already qualified your position in the previous principle when you said that it's about Black Lives Matter and ultimately that all lives matter. You just qualified your position in your other principle. And here you're saying that you don't need to qualify your position. So now you have contradicting thoughts in the very same guidelines that you have people going out and building chapters under. Even your own guidelines are confusing. So how can your organization not be confusing? No wonder why people question Black Lives Matter, because they don't have their stuff together. This should tell you guys, when you want to start something, don't think that people won't go back and look at all this stuff. You're just going to put some stuff up and have people just not, I mean, most people ain't going to read it, but you got the 5-10% people like me that's going to go in and look. And you best believe that these white folks are looking. or these other people are looking. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just say white folks. I'm not racist. I'm saying anybody that wants to tear down your organization, they will go in and find out what you said about your organization and take it and tear it apart. How do you think businesses go down so quickly if they don't have a firm infrastructure? Your guiding principles for your business, for your life, for how you run your family, it all needs to be on a firm infrastructure. If not, if the foundation is shaky, then the structure will fall. This foundation, their guiding principles, is shaky at best, confusing. How can anybody not get confused just reading the stuff that they say that they're about? It's not clear. It's all over the place. You got 15 different positions. Yeah. You're right about that, Rue Rose. Not qualifying a position makes you a potential anarchist. No wonder why people are saying what they're saying about Black Lives Matter. Now, the next guiding principle for those that just joined, we're just looking at what Black Lives Matter say that they believe in based off their own website. We're at blacklivesmatter.com and we're looking at the guiding principles, which means it's their core values. The next one, transgender affirming. This is stuff that you can't make up, folks. Transgender affirming. We are committed to, again, they use the word committed. I haven't heard committed about Black women. I haven't heard committed about Black villages. I haven't heard committed about globalism, but they sure are letting us know that they are committed to embracing and making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are committed to being self-reflexive and doing the work required to dismantle cisgender. Rue Rose, I'm gonna need your help on that one as well. Cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folk, especially Black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. I can't make this stuff up, folks. This is what they say. They are committed to making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead. Now, I have a problem with this because at this point in time in our world, you don't know who might be a woman or a man. I mean, they may have been born as a man, but now they're puppeting around as a woman, or they might have been born as a woman, but now they're puppeting around as a man. You get a name change, and you could play the role of a man, but you aren't a man. That has an impact on your positioning with life. It's fake. It's fraud. I got a problem with this. Of course, that's my moral compass. I don't know where you stand, and I'm not coming against queers or transes or nothing. I'm just saying this is what they're committed to, and what I believe is not going to lie. It doesn't align with what they're committed to. So cisgender, often abbreviated to simply cis, describes related types of gender identity perceptions where individuals' experiences of their own gender agree with the sex they were assigned at birth. It's a term for people who have a gender identity or gender expression that matches their assigned sex. So you have a gender. You know what? You got to talk to me about that when I get through, because now I got to figure out what the heck that really means, Ruro. Maybe you guys can break it down for me and make it plain and simple, because woo! All right, the last two, and then I'll open it up, man. Black families. We are committed to making our spaces family friendly, enable parents to fully participate with their children. We're committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts, that requires them to mother in private, even as they participate in justice work. Another word to look up, and I kind of know what this means, but it's good for the people. Patriarchal, if you guys want to look that up. Okay, it's the sex they decide to be. So I want you to notice in this, when you talk about the family structure, remember the word father, the word son is missing in this equation. They talk about the mothers having to work double shifts as if fathers don't have to work double shifts, and that require the mother require them the mother or to care for the children in private as if there's no man around. This is a problem, guys, because again, Black Lives Matter was started from a response to the shooting of Trayvon Martin, a young black boy. But yet their core values that they've set forth in their own agenda has nothing to do with black boys, nothing to do with black men. Nothing wrong with you sisters, but you need, I'm not going to tell you what you need, but it will be great if you actually support your black men. The rise of the black man is what America is afraid of. The rise of the black man is what the whole world is afraid of. And our country is doing a great job of making sure that we stay at the tail and not above, in my opinion. And this group, organization, is continuing to push forth the agenda of the establishment instead of the agenda for the people. Woo! That was a mouthful. All right, and then the last one is intergenerational. She says they say we are committed. Again, this word shows up here. We are committed to fostering an intergenerational and communal network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, shows up with the capacity to lead and learn. Okay, all people again. So they're now getting back to all people and not just black people, but that's cool. You're committed to intergenerational and communal network free from ageism. So ageism has to do with whether you're young or old. If you're young, you can lead. They're not really talking about leadership qualities, just saying, hey, we're not going to exclude you based off your age. Okay, great. So I just wanted to share this, and I'll open it up for you guys, questions or comments or talking points. I mentioned earlier about the agenda of the establishment. In my belief, my conclusion from this point forward, as it relates to the guiding principles, the core values of Black Lives Matter, it matches the same agenda of the establishment, pushing the gay agenda, the transgender agenda, and the feminism agenda, or in other words, women in power. There's nothing wrong with women being in power, but you still need men in power as well. And my belief is, I'm not going to get into all that belief, but I'm just saying it seems that their core principles match the agenda that's being put forth by the establishment, which then would further lead me to believe that the establishment is pulling the strings of this organization. It's not, that's my belief. So that's my conclusion. I want you to do your research. I want you to look at stuff and find out. As I mentioned, they've got the founders are 3 women, 2 of which are queer. So it makes sense that they will be pushing a queer agenda. The main founder is married to a transgender. It will make sense why they're pushing a transgender agenda. And then they're all women. So it will make sense that they're pushing a feminism agenda. But what about the black man? Here's what I want you guys to think about is I've exposed the truth of Black Lives Matter according to their own principles, according to the writings that they set forth. And the good old Bible says that it is written. So as you go out quite possibly to support a march, know who you are following. That's all I'm going to say. And then make a decision from there. So I'm going to stop the recording. And then Rue Rose, I know you got some things you want to add, but that's my recording piece, and we're going to be off the record from moving forward. But thanks so much. What is truth? Black Lives Matter agenda exposed. Do your research. All I ask is that you think and we look for truth together.